but you're never prepared for that true shock of them completely being gone. Children take on the attitude of the parent that's left behind. And so I have to keep it good for my kids, and I have to keep it good for him. And all the while, I am probably the weakest one of all. I never asked for help, but I needed it. After the kids would go to bed, and I would sit up at night, and that's when you cry. It's those random acts of kindness that just mean the world. When they come back, are they going to be the same person as they were? A lot of times I didn't want to watch the news. I didn't want to see what was going on, and we were making the sacrifice. And it's just what you do if you can.
All of a sudden, one day we were told, you're deploying. And we got told it was March or April of 2016 that they were going to be deploying in December. And then a couple of weeks later, they were like, oh, we're pushing it up. You're going in November before Thanksgiving. And we just wait. And you wait and you get things done. And then all of a sudden you need to do your will. You're forced to really have those conversations and discuss those things and make plans, but you try not to think about it. You try not to dwell on it. And then, you go through and you're like, this might be the last birthday party we have together. It's lonely at night when you are by yourself and your children go to sleep. It's just you. It gets lonely. You can't fall apart and break down and cry because you don't want your service member to see that. That's the only option you have, is to be strong, to hold it together. And even if on the inside you're falling apart and you're dying and, you feel like you can't breathe, it's just what you have to do. You have to get through it. There's no other option. You don't have a choice. But for me, it was also really helpful for me to be able to provide support to other people. We cried together, we laughed together, we got our kids together to play. That to me was very helpful. I was helping them, but I was getting a lot out of it as well. It doesn't have to cost you anything. Drop off a freezer meal. What a gift to be able to come home from work and I don't have to worry about making a meal. We just pop it in the oven and it's ready to go. It's things like that. Offer to watch somebody's child for an hour or two so they can do a little bit of self-care. Maybe they go to get a massage, or maybe they go to get their nails done, or maybe they're going to go to a movie. Just something where they have a little bit of time for themselves. Those are all things that are simple to do. Don't ask them what they need, because they probably don't know what they need. There were days when I didn't even know what day of the week it was. I don't know what I need, but I would have loved for somebody just to come just do something. Anything. The leaves, I didn't ask anybody to do that. My dad just showed up and did it. It was a huge gift. But I never was really angry that Wyatt was gone. It was just our turn. It was our time. It was our turn to do what we needed to do, what he needed to do. And it was our family's turn to give. The service member, they give up everything. But we have to stay behind and take care of everything while they're gone and hold it together. I didn't want people to think that I wasn't strong or I couldn't handle it, and I didn't want people to see me a wreck, and I was a wreck. There were days that I was a wreck.
Well, somebody's over there protecting us. He's a good kid. That's who you want over there protecting you. It's nice when people bring up how's he doing and stuff, but what we want is keep in touch with him, write him letters, send him packages.
I like it when people ask me how he's doing, and I enjoy telling them. I worry about him, of course, being in harm's way. He doesn't have a job that puts him physically in harm's way on a day-to-day basis, but he's in a dangerous part of the world. We have a special app on our phone where we can text. We were just able to see and speak to him on Skype the other night for the first time, and that was extra special.
When we Skyped with him, you could tell he was a little homesick, wanted to be with his family, but you can also tell that he knows he's got to be over there. This is his duty. This is his job. and he's accepted that. What technology does nowadays, I mean, he's way over where he's at, and we can text, Skype every day if we wanted to, you know.
We wear yellow ribbons. We have a yellow ribbon on our tree outside our house, as do most of our family and friends. All of the branches have family readiness groups. Our church has a very good group called a Hero Cast that supports those that are deployed or stationed away from home and their families.
I would just say the everyday of him not being there, just for the normal things that we share together, whether it's cooking a meal or doing things with the kids, and he misses all of those school activities and the birthdays and those kinds of things. So that's probably the hardest part. Especially I think in this community where we're not near a military base. So when we're in a more rural community, there's just that interest in wanting to know. But I just end up usually saying that, well, I can't really talk about those details, but or just give a generic answer and just try to keep it upbeat. I tend to be on the side of wanting to share more information because, again, there is such a disconnect. Most people don't realize that less than 1% of our population in America serves in the United States military. So that leaves less than 0.5% are leaving families behind. So there is a huge gap between the civilian community and the military community in regards to information. And so it's not that people don't want to support, it's not that people don't have an interest in it, but there are the same families are tending to serve over and over again. There's a gap because many people don't know a veteran. They don't have a veteran that has served recently in their family. It doesn't affect them on a daily basis. So I would rather share more information to educate people on what it really is like for that 1% that is serving. Oh. Okay, can you go back out? Go on out. I think the thing that I worry about most whenever there's a deployment of any length is just reconnecting when they come back. It's such an adjustment period because both people have grown and changed so much in very different ways. And so just reconnecting and learning to share those responsibilities again. Because here I am and I'm raising the kids and doing all of those things and making all those decisions really without much input from him because he's not here. So just making sure that when he comes home that it's not two independent people, that we're, again, unified in making those decisions and reconnecting as a family, and that the kids understand that we're a joint force. We've never been shy of reaching out and using the resources that either the military has given us or our church community to make sure that we do that in a way that is good for our marriage. So this time we've had all three in school with activities. So I've just tried to be really intentional about my schedule. And ahead of the deployment, we made the decision to put them all in the same activities so that it would reduce the running, which they weren't exactly happy about, but for our survival this year and them still being able to participate in sports or other activities, we've just done the same ones on the same day to try to limit the schedule. And the other thing to surviving it has been intentionally planning small, fun things to do in order to kind of mark different milestones in the deployment. So we've planned little trips or fun days to be able to survive that. But it's really important for the community to start intentionally engaging more with military families. I think it's a portion of it is not knowing what to do, and that's on us as the military community. It's easier to just say, oh no, we're good, or we've got it sometimes because we don't want to bother people or inconvenience people. And it's hard to ask for help, but I think that I would love to see communities engage more in how they can help the military, and I would love to see more people engage on teaching children, even at a young age, like about the military as a viable career option, so that we have more than 1% of the population represented in our military.
It's hard because if we just have our mom with us.
He was
When he was deployed, I was in 3rd grade. The hardest part was when I was in my classes, I would just start thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm fearing the unknown right now. Is he coming back? What's going on? And then I would just break down right there while we were learning something. And so then I'd have to go to the counselor and get out of the room. And then eventually, the next year in my 4th grade, they would all make fun of me because I would cry all the time. And so that was kind of a hard time also because I kind of got bullied because of it. Oh, well, she just doesn't have her dad around, and they would always say that to me. But I still had those other friends. They just didn't really say anything about my dad not being there. They would just avoid the entirety of it. Basically, it was between my family and my counselor, but I mean, they kind of connected all the dots, so. I didn't talk to my dad very much on the phone. There was letters, but I mean, you didn't get those all the time. You'd only get them so often. And I think usually when Dad would call, it was at nighttime. And so we were usually already in bed, if I remember correctly. But Mom did get to talk to him a little bit more. And I think one of the biggest things with him being gone all the time was that he would miss all of my, like, I was really big into choir at that time. And so I would do solos at church and all of that, but he was never really there to see it. And so we'd have to videotape it, and then when he got home, he was able to watch it, but it still wasn't the same feeling. I knew he was a truck driver, and he would drive supplies from here to there. I didn't really know the danger of it until he came home, and I found out that one time when he was driving, he had shots fired at his vehicle, and it actually went right through his passenger side window. It was just like, I don't know, that far away from him, and it was crazy to see the photos of it and just knowing like, oh my goodness, he was that far from being hit. And then later on, just like a year or so, I actually found out that there was a roadside bomb that went off. I can't remember if it was in front of him or behind him when he was driving, but I didn't know the entire story until just a little while ago. Like, oh my goodness, am I going to see him again? Am I not? But yeah, probably missing the dad person in my life was probably the hardest part as a 3rd grader. Well, I think most of the question that people answer is like, where is he? Like, is he doing something dangerous and all of that? And technically you can't even really tell that to them because you're not allowed to. And so it's more of just being there and saying, hey, let's go do something. Let's just keep your mind off of things. They're going to know he's deployed, and I know that they know. And so, I mean, if they say, hey, have you heard from him? I mean, that's a simple answer. It's just more of those personal details about his deployment that it's kind of like, okay, I don't really want to talk about that part. Making them a meal or something and just bringing it over and saying, hey, here's a meal so that you don't have to cook for you and your 3 little boys when you have all of these other things to do tonight. Just something to show them that you care for them, but you're not getting too personal about stuff.
Well, he just got deployed in July. He should be back by August. So not the August that was like a couple months ago, but the next one. So, yeah. And he's been, I think this is the 4th or 3rd time he's been deployed. I don't get to see him, and he could die. He could be killed in action or lost in action or something. We get to do a lot of fun things, and we are kind of okay with it, but we're not eating out as much, which is we're saving more money and stuff. I want them to know, and I want them to like know that that's a big deal. It's not like it's a little deal because just it's not your dad doesn't mean it's not bad.
We do talk a little bit about what's going on, but it's more to kind of help get out of being at home and with the kids and struggles. But we still have outbreaks at home. But school, not so much. They're really behaved in school. At home is totally a different story. Yeah, I have let him video call with Dad, even though it's late. I'll text him and see if he's up, or otherwise he gets up depending on the situation, and just let him talk with Dad or talk with both of us. I've had some people, well, if you need me, let me know, and I'll bring you a meal. It's like, well, I'm not going to ask you that. Just it's been nice just to bring it over, or they just do it. My neighbors have been helpful with like snow removal because I didn't know how to run our snowblower. So that was quite interesting. But just the help and not necessarily having to ask, just go do it, means a lot.